Now I'm going to talk about least restrictive environment. The most confusing rule when it comes to special education. It's confusing, often misunderstood, and therefore will cause difficulties down the road. Least restrictive environment. Special education services and supports for young children should be provided in the least restrictive environment, which means that to the maximum extent appropriate, child should receive special education services in a regular general education classroom. That's what they call it. If your child is in special ed, they're a special education student. A child who's not in special ed is a general education student. That's how they classify it. That's how they label it. Cut and dry. That's what it is. But to the maximum extent possible, a special education student must be educated with his non-disabled peers in a regular education class. The same age who do not have special needs. The IEP should determine the services, the supports, and the settings that are appropriate to address the needs. Now, the needs usually result in the placement, but it also, for example, my kids have a severe learning disability in math. They are in what you call a direct service math class. There is a special education teacher in there with 10 kids. The pace moves slower. The teacher provides more one-on-one help. That's where they are. That's honestly where they need to be. But for the rest of the core subjects, they're in what you call a co-taught class, which has a general education teacher in there and a special education teacher in there. He is with his regular education peers. He is in the general educational system. Special education teacher is there to provide, to support him and the teacher to make sure that he reaches his goals. He also has accommodations in place to make him successful as possible. It doesn't matter how many accommodations he needs to be in that classroom. Whether it be someone taking notes for him, whether it be the book read out loud, whether he has to have a pencil, or he uses a calculator, or it doesn't matter. It could be as simple as he always must be sat in the front of the class. It's called preparational seating. Most kids will want to jump to the back of the class. It doesn't matter how many accommodations your child needs. Always push and insist for them to be in a general education classroom with their non-disabled peers, unless they need to be somewhere else. Like I said, usually the needs, how much supports they have, usually determine where they need to put it. But you need to remember least restrictive environment. Obviously, being in a general education classroom is a very least restrictive environment. They were in a special school, that would be a more restrictive environment.